This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we'll begin with the flag salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everyone to the June 6th Marion County Commission meeting. We begin with public comments. Is there anyone with public comments not on the agenda? We'll give you a little more time when you're on the agenda. Is there anyone online with public comments? If not, we'll move into agenda approval. Any additions to the agenda or changes? If not, we'll move forward into administrative. Tina?
Okay. So I have the minutes from May 31st and June 1st, which I handed to you on paper.
Yes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from May 31st and June 1st? Okay, motion by Commissioner Gehring, second by Commissioner Dahlke. Discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have some early checks, which were in your packet?
All right, Commission had a chance to review early checks. Any questions?
Make a motion to approve $36,970.31 for early checks.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Gehring to approve early checks. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Commissioner Crowfoot. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Double check.
What?
Got 17. Okay, we're on the same page.
I do have 3 salary changes.
First, salary change in the salary change in the Sheriff's Department. Nathan Hoffman, new reserve officer, part-time, $15.36 per hour. Sheriff Jail, William Mayfield, $14.63 per hour. Change department from Sheriff's Office to Jail Department. No change in pay, administrative purpose only. And Sheriff Department, John Hubert, $15.36 per hour. Change from Reserve Officer Lake Patrol to Reserve Officer. No change in pay, administrative purposes only.
this, I don't think.
Okay.
Sorry.
We went to Robinson fixing fence in the water gap, so.
I don't usually cut the person, so it's not the same anyway. It's the same thing it does.
All right, what do we have next?
On the table, and I think you had already received a copy of it by email, there is a resolution for declaring a state local disaster emergency due to flooding. This is to ratify a verbal disaster declaration that was made yesterday.
Commission should have received by electronic means the disaster declaration. Is there a motion to approve a disaster proclamation resolution 2022-17? Commissioner Garing made the motion, second by Commissioner Becker. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. While commissioners are signing, I want to extend a thank you to our interim emergency management director and the sheriff's office, Road and Bridge, multiple other county employees who were on alert for the past week, all the rain that we've been having in the county. We appreciate their work. Double check.
Okay, on the table today, I have given you a worksheet for you to determine what you would like the 2022 fireworks schedule to be, along with what it was last year.
Okay.
This is for sale and discharge in unincorporated areas. And you don't necessarily have to make a decision on it today unless you're ready, but we would need a decision probably by next Monday.
Okay. I believe with the packet, there's also a list of the times from last year. So Commissioner Dalkey, you have a comment?
Yeah, I just like to leave it the same with, except for with question to the commission on Friday, July 1st, which is a Friday, and Sunday is July 3rd, which is the day before the 4th. And those two dates would be just, I've got 11 for Friday night and 12 for Sunday night, but that could be, and then 12 for the second on Saturday night, and then 12 for Monday night. So the 4th, so that's just a, and then 10 p.m. for July 5th. That's just suggestions. If you got any other we need to talk about, well, that'd be fine. Just,
What were your suggestions?
10 o'clock clear through Thursday, the top down, and then Tuesday the 5th, 10 o'clock. Friday I've got 11, and then on Sunday, July the 3rd, I've got 12, but that can be changed, and then 12 on Saturday night and 12 on the 4th.
Okay, so your change would be July 2nd to 11? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it could be midnight. Don't make no difference, whatever the commission feels.
I'm usually in favor of midnight throughout.
Okay.
It's a full day.
You didn't have a dog.
I do have a dog.
Also, I see on last year, you had some days starting at 9 last year instead of 8 to 1. So
Yeah, I didn't look at
you wanna
that,
Look at the beginning times at all.
The selling time,
I'm good with 8.
yeah, I was gonna say.
Ain't nobody really getting up that early.
No.
Fireworks usually.
Every once in a while, you'll have somebody come at 8, but very seldom, usually 9:30, 10.
I'll leave that up to
Do
the
you have much
shop.
sales at midnight?
No.
I'd just make it 8 to 11 on all the days.
I can do that.
And for discharge as well?
No.
That's for, he's talking about selling.
Sales.
Okay, so then you, okay. So if you do it till 11 on sales, then let me know what you want, you know, you'll have to include what you want for
Right,
discharge.
because I think in the past you've made sales and discharge the same, so that it's less confusing. As you'll see on the list from last year, all the times are,
They match.
they match.
Yeah.
So if you want a separate schedule for sales from a separate schedule for discharge, I'm just asking. This is what you've done in the past.
I'm in favor of 8 to midnight and let the stores decide.
Is that a motion?
Sure. I'll make the motion. 8 to midnight on all days.
Now you're going all the way from June 27th to
Yeah.
July 5th. Okay.
Just made everybody mad that goes to bed at 10. It's your fault.
Okay.
Well, the stores cannot sell. I
Tell
mean,
my
that's,
wife to call you.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Garing for sales and discharge from 8 to midnight, June 27th through July 5th. Is that correct? Second by Commissioner Dalton.
yeah.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nate?
Motion carried, 4-1. Do you have
Okay,
more administrative?
yeah, that's all I have.
Can we bring up the Hodson Corner thing?
Sure, if you want to, but I don't have any
You don't have
information
all
for
the
you today.
information. Okay, well, we'll wait then. Excuse me. All right. Other administrative items? All right, with, I'm guessing everybody's here for the 1 o'clock, St. Luke. It'd be all right to go 15 minutes early? If
Just
not,
some here for the road.
well, they're scheduled for 1:15. So what's the commission's pleasure? Which one would you rather go?
As long as everybody's here, it's fine. Well,
Okay.
You may come from Hillsborough.
Want to go for
no,
the road?
Oh,
no,
we're
he's going.
Is everyone here for the road issue?
I hadn't.
Okay. All right, if you don't mind, so you don't have to sit for another half hour, if you'd like to present your concerns on road issues, we'll move you up.
Go ahead if you
I
want.
can't hear a thing you're saying.
Okay, sorry. Could you move up to the table, please?
You bet.
They heard that.
That and dinner, I understand.
Getting close to that Reese's there.
Yeah, does he?
You better put that on the other side.
Oh, okay, all right.
The purpose of having it at the table is for the microphone, so people online can
Okay.
hear. Yeah. Thank you.
Are you ready?
Just state your name and
Okay.
We're ready.
Eugene Just, and I live at Almy.
Okay.
So, you guess what I'm here for. Yeah. Well, I've probably got as many questions as I have other things, you know. I guess first of all, my understanding is that you're planning on tearing up 140th. Are you gonna make it better than going west?
Well, it's going to be a process of grinding up the base, packing in, put in good base rock, good top rock, drainage, so that the plan is to make it a good solid rock gravel road.
Okay, you're not planning on ever blacktopping it then?
That's the commission's decision. Commissioner
I-
Balke, would you like to?
I don't think we've actually said that we would never do that.
I would
I
say-
think what the plan, the initial plan is that it's gonna have to sit as a gravel road for a period of time to get a bit.
I understand that.
But, you know, at some point in time, it could be chip sealed, it could be whatever.
The plan, as far as I understood it, was make it safe.
Correct.
And the easiest way to do that right now is make it back to rock and make it safe.
Well, part of the point what I'm getting here, we farm all over that part of the country. And that road going west, you can hardly drive a tractor on. It just beats you to death. And I'm just wondering if that's gonna be better than what we've got, you know. Plus it'll be mud. I mean, you know, gravel, yeah, but you go west on there after these rains and your car gets all muddy.
So
And
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's rough.
Yeah, it's kind of washboardy. You just,
Is that
if you
from
want to come
running?
out and take a ride with me, I'll show you.
I'll run up and
Is
down.
that been caused by a lot of those big rock trucks driving on there?
There's,
That's the second thing, yeah. From what I understand, you guys have said there's a lot of truck traffic. I don't know, I would guess half of that is county trucks. You know, and gravel trucks that go through, and I realize there's a weight limit on it, you know, and we can't, I mean, it's a road, it's a public road. And I'm just wondering, you know, about some of those things. Back to the tearing up of the road, how far are you going to go into Alney?
I think that question just come up last week and we
Right.
didn't,
Yeah,
we
the
really
answer-
didn't know.
The answer I thought we got was up to the railroad, is that
That's the
correct?
railroad probably.
Up to the railroad. Is there any possibility of stopping, say, at Olson's? You know, there's a few potholes, and there's a few potholes but, you know, all the dust and all the, all the bouncing around. Plus, we've got blacktop parking there. I asked Bryce, I said, are you planning on tearing that up? Well, I don't know. You know,
They wouldn't tear up the parking.
what?
I wouldn't think they do the parking.
Well, you know, I don't know. Where are you gonna stop and where are you gonna drag the mud into the church and all of that stuff? I mean, I'm just asking you some questions.
Are you saying to go farther west than the railroad?
No, go farther east of the railroad.
Olson's.
About a half a block, or I don't know what.
3/4, maybe
Yeah.
a full block.
unofficial city limits.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, there is a sign that said 30-mile-an-hour speed limit ahead, and that would be a good stopping point if you're gonna stop.
Okay.
So, I don't know. You know, I'm just trying to reach some decisions here because we fought that road. What happened to the money that the railroad paid the county to redo that road after they got done with it?
That, if you followed that, that's when you come back with all of the blacktop and blade patched on top of all that was spent for the blade patching for the whole road, yes.
Did all that money go to that? Okay. That's
It
what
was close, I'm not saying.
Well,
penny for
yeah,
penny.
I
It was within
realize, Randy.
$10,000 of it,
Yeah,
yes.
well, you've been around there,
Yeah.
we talked about this before. But, you know, when that was done, it was just not done a decent job. They dug those deals along the side of the road and put millings in there. And then when they drove over that with the trucks, that's what broke that shoulder down. I don't know if you remember.
I didn't get to see all of that. Most of it was just blade patch over the top of it.
Well, they went the whole way, took the grader and dug a trench about that deep and filled it with millings. That was before Bryce got there. That was
Right.
years
right.
ago.
And Randy Crawford was there then.
Yeah. And when he first did that, I thought it was a good idea, but it didn't work. You know, that stuff
I
just.
guess I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
That's where
that
it
is-
started this rolling out of that blacktop, you know. And,
I know it didn't last very long.
no, it sure as the world didn't.
It went away pretty quick.
Yeah. And so, you know, some of these things are concerning.
If we got a year out of it, I've been surprised.
Well, that's
Before.
exactly right. We just didn't get any life out of that. Well, I was talking about the parking there. The county parks on there all the time. When they eat dinner, when they do this, when they do that, which we don't mind, you know, if they don't tear it up. But if it gets to be a problem in the summertime, that begins to roll out and, I realize it's a public road, but we've worked hard to get that parking good there, and we have probably 60, 70 cars there on Sundays. So, you know. I was wondering about the pile on 140th and Nighthawk. What's that for? Do you have any idea?
That is the chip and seal rock.
Okay, where are they gonna use that?
I don't, Bryce piled there, I don't know where Bryce is going with it.
Yeah, I asked him too, and I didn't get an answer out of it.
I don't believe we're scheduled this year for a reseal of Nighthawk this year, I don't believe.
No.
But there is,
There's
It's-
resealing being done.
it's the
150th is
chip and seal rock, but I don't
Yeah.
know, it's a bottom rock. It's a brown rock, what it is.
Yeah. What happened at the end of Nighthawk? Why didn't they finish that road?
That's another project coming up.
Yeah,
It is,
the
for the intersection.
intersection was a different part.
Yeah.
It was in collaboration with the state.
Yeah, I just wondered because that just went all to pieces.
It is supposed to start here.
Okay.
He just gave us an update on it 2 weeks ago, so
Okay.
it's still in the books.
Yeah, well, this is what I said, I've got a lot of questions, and,
Sure.
you know, this is some of them. Can I go get a load of that to fill up some of the holes?
No.
Okay,
Holes on what?
well, in the roads out there.
It would, no.
No, well,
That wouldn't be the right, that wouldn't be the right kind of route.
I'm facetious on that,
That's
but
a whole other
you
permitting
know,
process.
I just wondered if you missed that. What about that little pile of rock there on the Canada corner? There's a red and, the gravel, or it's all red and colored, and what the?
Well, that was dumped there when the culvert was, when we had this blacktop right after the chip, or the road was reground. And then on that culvert, it started collapsing, you know, breaking off.
Yeah,
And
that-
I said we need to fix it. That red stuff then was put in some of the ditch around that culvert.
Is that what
And
it
I
was?
think it's a little leftovers or something that's,
It'd be good garden decoration.
that's some of the rock though that also was ground up from the south shop where the bricks and the rock and the iron was in it. That's why the red stuff's in it, 'cause it's the red bricks in it.
Oh, okay.
That's red brick is what you're looking at.
Is that
Yes.
what it is?
Yes.
Yeah, I just kind of wondered on that. Well, you know, it's just a concern. I've talked to several people in the community there,
Now,
and
you gonna go pick that up and put that in the rock?
can I do that?
Well, I'm just.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to.
Well, it's better than that mud that we get in there.
Okay.
And the first rain that we got after they filled all those holes with that muddy rock, it just squirted everywhere.
They'll be coming to you asking you to fix their tires.
Yeah.
Don't.
Well, how about the guy that was not gonna pay his taxes till that road got fixed? Did he get his taxes paid? I wonder.
I can't tell you, I don't know, I was trying to think who it was.
But, huh?
I was trying to think who it was.
Mendoza.
They're going to
Oh.
they're going to tax sale.
Okay.
They're going to tax sale.
Well,
On 140th. Yeah, now we're back to 140th, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, lost my train of thought now. Derailed it. But, had another thing that I was gonna, I guess.
Well-
Rod, you got any other questions?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna.
I will address one thing is, I think the commission's goal is, bottom line, is get a good road to there.
Well, that's
But-
what we're hoping.
But as you've seen the last time, that's why I brought it up, I was probably the very first one to bring it up here again, not a month ago or so, is that I seen what the blade patch did, and that, we didn't get nothing out of that.
Yeah.
And so, and what I find funny when you said the west side is rough is because some of the church people from Peabody that travels, they said, well, we've got to go to the west side, we don't want to come in on the east side, so.
Well-
That's where they wanted to travel, was the west side, but they never told me it was rough. And
No.
because it was just rock and they was, you know.
Well, you know how this washboard.
Right.
And with some of these tractors, the length of the wheelbase is just right, that you just get this as you're going,
Okay.
so. that-
Yeah, I'll check. Yeah, I'm gonna talk when you're done.
Okay. Well, I think, I mean, you've heard my,
Yep.
oh, the other thing is, you know, with this High Line going through, you know, we're getting a lot of traffic on that. And the windmill thing, they told me the other day, we're not gonna use 140th, but that if you can keep off of there, you'll be doing good, you know. And that's gonna be a lot of heavy traffic again.
They usually stay on the roads that they say they will.
Yeah, that's what, well, you was at the meeting the other night, but that's what they said. I said, well, they said, we have to fix it up as good as it is when we leave. And I said, well, that isn't gonna be hard to do, you know, but it's shot now. But, well, I think that kind of gives you an idea.
Thank you.
If you guys
Appreciate it.
ever get around and talk to Clyde, we'll visit some more.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Am I allowed to tag team off with
Yes.
his name? I mean, my name wasn't on.
You don't get half.
Okay, that'll be fine. I'm Rob Just. I had emailed all of you, shot you an email, and I just would continue on what I was saying. You know, I hesitate to ask for taxpayer money because I know that's a job that you guys are having to deal with all the time. You know, how do we appropriate money? As I was thinking back to when the Only Road was first hard surface this last time, before it's gone bad now, but the hard surface, and then the 140th on the other side of Sunflower to 77 and Abenfeld. Those were all three done in a similar time the first go round. At that time, one of the things that was said was that we strive as a county to have a hard surface road to each community in the county. Now, I don't know that that's kind of maybe an unwritten kind of policy, and I understand that. Since that time, 140th was redone from Sunflower to 77. The Abenfeld Road, Kansas, was redone, but the Only Road was not redone. So if we're comparing, you know, how the roads have held up, well, there's no way 140th to Only has had the chance to hold up when the other two have both been resurfaced again since the one time of Only. And I'm not sure why the 3 miles between Only and Sunflower were not redone at the time that the other two were. But I guess one point I'm just trying to make is, as I understand, we've got to tear it up. I mean, that's what has to be done. We got to tear it up. We got to get it hard again and then do the process, which is what was done before this last hard surfacing. But if we could consider in the future hard surfacing that again, continuing that hard surface to each community in our county like we have been, I guess that's the main thing that I'm bringing up and asking that you would consider in the future.
Okay. Well, again, the priority is to get it safe.
Yeah.
And the fastest and safest way is to get, whether it be, however we do we're still working on that, whether it be a contractor or renting the equipment, get that ground packed, get the potholes out of there, because they are dangerous.
Yeah.
We do not contend that.
Yeah.
But we need to get that done as quick as possible.
Right. Okay. All right. I think that's all that I had.
I'd just like to see it done before I'm gone.
Oh, me too.
Me too.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you both.
Have a good day. And
All right. Thank you, guys.
We'll take care of that wish.
Okay, I'm holding you to that.
Commissioner Dalkey made a very strong promise there.
Yeah, that's all we need to, that's all you need to hear from us.
Yes, we appreciate
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, Jeremy, we'll talk about St. Luke.
Sure.
Yep, up to the microphone. And as long as we're talking about policy, we'll be in open session, and if we want to get into personnel issues, then we'll go to executive.
So first of all, thank you for putting me on the agenda and taking time to hear the hospital's concerns. It's very much appreciated. And this is related to comments and questions from the commission discussion with Travis on May 16, 2022. So as far as individuals and specific situations, I'll definitely keep it as generalized as I can. So first, this is not about placing blame, but about finding a solution to a problem that we're currently in. So Travis, Kathy, and I have met numerous times, had multiple conversations as we reviewed transfers to see what we could have done differently. So I want the commission to know that we have been working together, and our goal is to provide the best care we can for the citizens of our county and anyone who steps through the doors of our hospital. We also know our limitations and know when we need to transfer someone. Many nurses throughout this nation have either quit or moved on to something else or taken early retirement during the last 2 years. At Wesley Hospital in Wichita, they're currently trying to hire 250 to 300 nurses. And they're also planning to open up a nursing school, but that's obviously several years out. But that's their plans, and that's what they're having to do right now. The lack of nurses is not a local issue, but it's an issue ongoing nationwide. There are not enough staff beds in the hospitals to care for patients, even the ones that are critically ill. As an example, we don't have an ICU, we don't have intensivists standing by or critical care pulmonologists, but we did on 2 occasions keep patients on ventilators at St. Luke. I believe we gave them great care, but obviously that is not our specialty and not where patients need to stay. We even shared a ventilator with Hillsborough as they ended up in the same predicament as we were in. Because of the lack of staff beds, transfers have also obviously changed. You, in the meeting in May, referenced that you had a policy since 2019. Well, I want the commission to know this isn't 2019 in healthcare. We can't run down Highway 50 to Newton or 135 to Wichita with all of our patients. We've had beds given away for patients who were in our hospital in need of being transferred because no one would transfer them. This further delays the definitive treatment that these patients need. The largest issue at hand is when there are 2 ambulances in the county and a patient in the hospital still refused transport. During the commission's meeting in May, it was said that, quote, the #1 priority is 911 and transfers come second. It was also said, quote, there are other options for transfers. So first, regarding 911 being a priority. When the hospital calls for a transfer, several of those patients are 911 calls. When a patient has a critical hemoglobin, is losing blood, we don't have the capability to find out in the middle of the night where they're losing blood from. We can try to stabilize the patient, we can give the patient blood, but these patients are in need of emergent and definitive care. However, because this patient came in during the middle of the night, we were told that this patient would have to wait until 7 a.m. because EMS had already made a previous run to Wichita. That was a 911 call. A person who was in our ER with an MI, stroke, or bleeding should not be any different than, quote, the person laying on the floor or a car accident. We had another patient who had a bleed. The only bed we could find for them was in Kansas City. This patient ended up being flown there at a great expense. We also had a septic patient who lost their bed at KU because we couldn't find anyone to get them there. More delays for patients in need of further care. Our providers don't want to have to transfer anyone. We want to be able to provide care locally, but when the ER provider makes that determination, they are on the phone with the physician at the receiving hospital, and they're making that plan of care. Our providers should not be questioned as to the necessity of a transfer at this point. I understand that some days and nights are busier than others, and there are days we have multiple transfers from our hospital. Hillsborough being the same. The nursing staff and providers both understand this as well. There are days in our ER we don't have a single patient. There are also days we see 6 patients in a matter of a couple hours. We have 2 nurses that take care of all ER patients, all swing beds, inpatients, outpatients, infusions, and injections. Most of the time this is okay, but there are times we also have to call in extra help because you get 6 patients in a matter of a couple hours. Regarding the comment in the commissioners' meeting that there are other options, the other option is life-saving ground transport out of Wichita, which we have obviously used several times. They're not staffed and available 24 hours a day. In addition, it's a minimum of at least an hour for them to get here. Or I've heard maybe you think other counties' EMS will help. Well, I guess my question is, does our EMS go to other counties to help them? Why would the expectation be for another county to help us if we're not going outside of our county? Or maybe the commission is telling hospitals we need to make alternative plans because the commission wants the ambulances in the hospital or within the county. If so, let me know. For example, in Winfield, William Newton Hospital contracts with Eagle Med for many of their transfers. And maybe that's what the commission is expecting the hospital to do in Marion County. It appears the commission has put Travis in a difficult position of trying to make him make the decision of what is emergent and what is not. In fact, Travis said during the May meeting that he feels like he is making the decision. What transfer should he take and what should he not take? Should he go greater than 60 miles or not greater than 60 miles? I think that's a lot to put on Travis. I want to again remind the commission that this is not 2019 when the policy was written. And what about listening to the ER provider who is with the patient, they've already examined them and spoken to a receiving physician at another hospital? Again, I thank the commission for listening. I look forward to working with Travis in the future as we have been doing. Thank you.
Gene, did you want to say anything?
Yeah,
Okay. Jeremy, would you be willing to take some questions or just statement? That's good.
All I have to say.
Okay. Well, I guess I can't ask for any questions.
Solutions, I guess.
Any discussion?
All I know is I agree with what Jeremy's saying. When the attending physician says somebody needs to go, and we have a truck available, they need to go. I don't care if it's between shifts, after shift, whatever. I mean, at that point, it's life and death.
Travis, would like to respond? Or get in the middle, or putting you in a hot spot, or
No, that's fine.
come up to the
no.
seat again, sorry.
No,
I think you can explain
Sure.
from your perspective,
Yeah, I can.
how transfers fit in
Yep.
to 911 responses.
For sure. A lot of what Jeremy said is absolutely true. There's a lot of moving parts, and it is a struggle to make the right decision every time. The only question I heard posed was, do we go to other counties? And last year, it looks like right around 20 times, we went to either St. Francis, Newton, Wesley, McPherson, or Hutchinson and picked patients up and brought them back to our local facilities. So yes, we do that. It's not, so that was the question, and that's the answer to that. As far as Jeremy and I, we have worked together. I've worked with Mark over in Hillsborough. This is a moving target. It's a difficult thing to do. We have to have a truck available. There are times that I've sent both trucks out, both full-time trucks. When Peabody didn't have a truck and Tampa was called down, that left me with 0 ambulances, but they were emergent transfers. I'm willing to take that risk. I can say that we were saving somebody's life. And Jeremy and I, we've hashed this out multiple times. If it's somebody that can wait, then it waits. And when that truck gets back, the next one goes. So I agree, there's been a lot changed in the last 2 years. Distance being the main thing is if we want to go to Kansas City on a regular basis, which we have several calls to go to Kansas City. We took some calls to Kansas City out of both hospitals. Well, I can think of, I'll take that back. I think we took one out of St. Luke to Kansas City. I know we took 2 out of HCH. But if that's what the commission wants to do, that I'm willing to listen to that. It's just know that when that truck is gone for 7 or 8 hours, 6, 7, 8 hours, then when the other one gets called or there's an emergency transfer out of either facility down to Wichita, we have very limited trucks. So that's where I'm at. That's the risk I'm taking. And it takes a long time for another ambulance to get into our county. As Jeremy said, it takes an hour.
Got a question?
Yes, sir.
How long, when both ambulances are gone out of county, how long does it take to get another crew in and take up the spare one?
Well, and
Or
that
can you?
depends on
Or
my
can you?
staffing level for that day. We certainly can, if I'm available and the supervisor's available. We've made those calls. We do that on Rex. We do that, we have multiple units out.
You bring in-
We have done that. I've called people in that live in the county to staff an ambulance.
But you don't want to do that, man.
Well, we have to do it, and they're happy to do it. That's the thing, is we do it when we need to. It's just not needed every day, so it's not something I think we need to staff, but it's like Jeremy said in the ER, they can have no patients or they can have 6 all of a
Yeah.
sudden. So nobody has a crystal ball. I'm not open to change, or I'm not, well, I am open to change, I think you have to look at the big picture and find a solution. I'm willing to continue to do that. I give you numbers of.
I was gonna ask, earlier you mentioned you had some transfer numbers.
Yes, and I just ran what, I'll have to look, and I ran these on May 12th, so they're a little dated. Let me look. Well, in 2021, we took 275 transfers. From the first of this year till May 12th, we ran 81. Split pretty even between the 2 hospitals, 50% to 44%. And then we had some from Newton back. So we're still taking transfers. It's difficult. I mean, know that I'm not doing this to be a pain towards any provider, any hospital, anything of that nature. I'm doing it so that when somebody's family member calls 911, and if it's my family in Florence and that ambulance has to come from Tampa, that's tough. So do know there's a reason I make these decisions. Yep. Okay.
Gene?
The county, the way I understand it, has responsibility to provide ambulance service for Marion County, right? Okay, so if one ambulance is out on a wreck or whatever, and the hospital has somebody that is emergency transfer, I mean, those people usually are taxpayers. They live in Marion County, and they're having a bad day. And I can't see why. I mean, so what if one's sitting there and they don't know whether there's going to be an accident or not, but they got this emergency transfer? That ambulance is there for emergencies. And I don't think you can designate between a transfer and waiting on an emergency call to come in if that patient is in need of transfer. And whether you have to call in somebody else to stand by and let the next unit out take that unit, call in 2 other people to stand by as the 3rd ambulance until, who knows, maybe you won't get another call. But if you're trying to keep one ambulance open all the time for emergencies, transfers can be emergencies. And I think you need to take that into serious condition. Because about the time that you say, no, we cannot make this transfer at this time, and the ambulance is sitting there, you're opening yourself up for a lawsuit. And it can happen this day, things aren't like they used to be. And I think you just maybe need to think about that. And, if it's a matter of changing your plans, your protocols and so forth of what you're doing, make it a little more relaxed, that maybe these ambulances can be used for emergencies. Now, if you're gonna transfer to Newton with a broken hip or something, I say no. That does not have to be considered an emergency. You can do it only when you have available people to do that. But emergencies, that's what you guys are there for. That's what you're supposed to be providing, so that's all I can say.
Can I address that?
Yes.
I think, I can get you numbers. We can come up with the number of emergency transfers
That was
that I did
gonna be
not
my-
take.
how many-
That's not a common, Jeremy, help me out here. If they call with a STEMI and I have a truck out, my truck goes. That's an emergency transfer. I do not make commonplace of not taking emergency transfers. So I just want to clear that up.
It's not common, but I have 3 examples. I gave 3 examples of when that's happened, when it's been delayed.
The hemoglobin, and what, I'm sorry, I missed the other two. Karen.
So the bleeding was another one, so the patient had to get flown out. Again, that was going up to KU, but that's a patient that, and the only one that was close was the bleeding that you and I talked about.
Correct.
Dean, one other question that Travis has answered before when we asked was 1 or 2 of the patients that's getting the long distance transfer to Kansas City was not paid. I mean, they didn't get paid. They didn't pay the bill. So I don't know that we don't make no difference in that. We eat it anyway, but that was a comment that was made about that some of them were not getting paid for on that. I don't know. Is that right, Travis?
There certainly are ones that we don't. And again,
But
I'm not here to make.
We don't make that
I
determination
think
when
that's
somebody's
part of
smoking
business,
ambulance.
of being in the ambulance business. Sometimes you get paid and sometimes
Oh, that's
you
right.
don't.
We got a lot of write-offs.
You know, you do,
Healthcare
yeah.
in general.
But healthcare in general, I'm sure the hospital has the same problems.
Yeah.
You know, they have things that need to be written off that people just can't pay. And it's not getting any better, you know. Things are getting out of control as far as the gas. You know, that's a big problem, that your gas that you use for your ambulances, food prices and stuff, people are getting to the point where they say, do I buy food or do I buy medicine? You know, health-wise. And so I can see that, and you'll probably have more as it goes on, because some people just can't afford the insurance.
I'm gonna bring the question back to the emergency transfers. If you can get us numbers on how many emergency transfers there are.
And I'll have to work with Jeremy.
Right.
And I can work
Guys.
with.
And what
Sure.
life-threatening emergency transfers. That, and then it comes the next judgment call, okay, when do you call in the airplane versus ground transport?
But there's a lot of times that you can't call in airplane
Or helicopter.
because of weather.
Sure.
Helicopter.
Sure.
You know, so that cuts out.
But it comes back to what Travis was saying, there's a lot of moving pieces here that have to come together in that judgment call.
Again, that's up to the provider and what they believe, and talking to the receiving provider. So our physician is on the phone with their physician, and the physicians are making that determination. That's not a call that comes from Travis to go, is it ground or air? Those are the 2 physicians on the phone who are dealing with that patient. They make that determination.
Any other questions from the commission?
As far as I'm concerned, that's where the buck stops, is at the physician level. I mean, they're the ones gonna determine it.
Just for comment then, and that was brought up before when we discussed it about once you take a Kansas City call, Trey, you've taken an ambulance out for a minimum of 6 hours, most likely. So
6 to 8.
yeah, 6 to 8, depending on the situation. So when that happens, and then the first emergency happens, then we have a second emergency. This commission needs to get prepared for that then. Like you said, you and a lead person may make an ambulance.
Sure, we may not.
But it could be, there could be some times like that, and that's, I'm not getting the same answer that we had the first time. That's why I'm just wondering.
How many units do we have between Marion and Hillsborough?
2 units. You got 2 units on full-time.
No,
Units, truck staff. We have 3, the county operates with 5 licensed transporting ambulances. There are 2 staff full-time, and there are 2 volunteer and 1 backup.
so you only got 2 vehicles in Hillsborough, you got.
We have 2 vehicles in
the
Hillsborough,
car
1 in Marion. The backup one is in Hillsborough now.
Okay. So we got three.
That's where the supervisor is. There's some volunteers over there. We can make a truck. I can make a truck. It does work on certain days.
We could do three of them pretty easily. The fourth one kind of.
Well, in campus, you know, they're staffed.
Yeah, but
You know, the BLS trucks, they're staffed. Like I said, I'm happy to work together. Peabody's is staffed. There's a couple days they're down, probably one day a week.
hope it never gets to that.
Well, and again, I'll take the commission's guidance. I'm here to steer the ship, but if you guys want it, I've been asked to go to Oklahoma City. If that's where we want to go with ambulances, let me know. I'm happy to do it. My people are getting paid to work. They can go, right?
Other
But-
than COVID, would a attending physician ever ask to send a patient that far?
Remember the nurse shortage, bed shortage?
So, no, they're not asking for a patient to go that far, but
If
again,
if that's the only
staff
place
beds.
you've been, yeah.
I mean,
That's why it's-
Wesley has a lot more beds, rooms, they're not using them.
Yeah, I know.
Because they're 300 nurses down.
So even without COVID, we're still gonna have the issue just because of staff shortage.
Yeah, it has nothing to do now with COVID or COVID beds or patients who are testing positive for COVID. It's just a staffing shortage.
We don't have any other alternatives other than was it Eagle that does
Well,
that does transfers?
Eagle Med is who Winfield is contracted with.
But I mean,
so
is
they're
there
not
any
using
other
their county
services
EMS as much.
in the south central Kansas besides?
LifeSafe is the one that we've used.
But that comes with a very high cost to the patient. Because I don't know, I suppose you can get insurance to cover that.
Their ground truck?
No,
you mean?
for airline.
Oh,
flight,
yeah, but they have a ground truck as well as, it actually probably comparable to our bill. I would assume. Should assume.
Okay, other questions? Discussion? If not, thank you, Travis. Thank you, Jeremy. You're welcome. Thank you for coming in. I think our 8th Judicial District is all here. If they're ready, we'll bring them in.
I'll bunch them up there.
Hello,
Hi,
welcome.
guys. How we all doing?
Good. If we could have you sign in, formalities here.
Sign everybody in.
Please.
A few minutes early, but if that's all right.
Absolutely.
What would you like us to say?
Who's ever speaking?
Speak.
Right over here. Speaker gets up here.
Speaker gets the microphone. That way our online.
Delegating, Nikki.
Oh, great.
You've been here before, Nick.
Oh, that's so wrong. On so many levels. That's okay. You guys probably know what we're gonna say anyway, I would imagine, so.
You got the budget 10%.
You already know what we're gonna say too.
Yeah, I know,
Got no
well.
money. Got no money.
I mean, actually,
I'm just glad the budget
I'm the
request
chair
is
here.
below last year by 10 or 15%.
Oh, you know
I can
what?
pass them down.
Would you mind?
Caseload
I don't
is
know how many
dropping.
we need, but I'll take this one down to me.
Expenses are
Okay.
dropping.
Since he's the.
I got a special one.
Yes, you do. I am giving you the one that Judge Sexton has signed.
Thank you.
So he signed all 3 budgets. Please direct all questions to Judge Sexton.
I'll take the mic.
start with the red or
I
green?
know, we were thinking the, Marion High School colors.
Oh.
Gary gets blue, you guys get red.
I see.
Yes,
That's
so
good.
it reminds me in my,
Very good.
You know,
Who's who?
you can do purple ones now that Judge Powers is gone.
That's true. That's true.
We
Don't tell him
encourage
that.
it.
There we go.
Yes.
Yes.
Jan, don't tell him.
Didn't used to have purple service.
Yeah, that color is banned.
You're getting purple next year.
Well, go Marion. Good.
Yes, I think that's in my head. I'm thinking,
Thank you.
oh, they're red and blue and
Excellent.
so.
All right.
Well, so in your packets, you will have the 3 different budgets that we bring every year to you all, and we start with the first one, and that's the red tab, and that's the county budget, the Marion County budget. Really, and Jan's here and she can speak to this, there's nothing too crazy that we have incorporated into this budget, only with the exception of the mediation. And if you recall, Judge and I did come down and try to give you a heads up on that expense. And I don't know if you have questions about mediation, we have been trying to keep track of those numbers, and it's going pretty well. So that expense is in here. But really, when you look at the bottom line, we are down just a little bit compared to last year in our request.
When you say that, where can I find that exactly in here?
When you look at the second page.
Second page?
Down there at the bottom, and you're comparing last year's 2021 to 2022, yes. And then what we're proposing from 2023. Because last year, when we were in 2021, we increased to 2020, what was that, Jan? Do you remember what the increase, why that difference was? I can't honestly remember at this point, but what we estimated for this year versus what we're requesting for next year, it is down.
When you say that mediation, though, there it is.
Oh, I'm sorry, is that what you're
That's
looking
what I'm
for?
looking for right up
I
here.
apologize, I'm still looking at the percentages of.
Yeah, right in the middle of the page.
We estimate about 11,000 for the entire district, and we've kind of split that up with Gary County 6, Dickinson County 3, and then 1,500 apiece. Is that, am I right?
Correct, in Marion.
And from your perspective, give me a pluses and minuses.
Okay. The pluses, and for it to be really advantageous, they need to be done before the clerks send out the mailings. I mean, if you want to get that cost out of the area, then that helps. You still have a plus if you're able to take that out of the queue before having all of those people come in. Now, Marion has a unique case because, and this individual has just filed a motion to withdraw her plea after she's been sentenced, but there was an individual that had 11 cases, and I think 8 or 9 of them were felony cases. And when I went in to do that arraignment, she looked at me and smiled, and she said not guilty that many times. And she knew darn well what she was doing. And so that was one I said, okay, now I want all these cases to go to Judge Powers, because I firmly believe I was going to start. She had destroyed my calendar in one day. Not her fault. She's exercising her rights. Judge Powers settled every one of those cases. Now, this cost savings on that for you guys have been big time. So it's worked out very well. And what I'm starting to see now, and I told this to the commissioners over in Morris County, attorneys don't like appointments that they have to have. And so when they're going to these, I'm starting to see these cases settle even before it gets there. The attorneys are meeting, which is saving us the cost of mediation, still accomplishing what we want to get done is to settle cases and move them on.
Move on down the road. So it should help the backlog for you.
Yes, yes.
Well, I've heard Judge Powers' side. He's last year and then here recently too. So
Yeah, and
he was
he's really
very,
good at it.
very neutral with him. So yeah.
And he's doing it, and we get kind of a break from him. They now have a Kent Judicial Council has a group looking at this, going to come up with specific policies for it. But they were talking about what this was costing in Johnson County. We couldn't afford it. If that was the case, we wouldn't have a mediation program. I think Mike realizes that. He's helping us out.
Yeah, cool.
Any other questions on the Marion?
Very good.
Okay. And then if you want to turn to the lighter green tab, we will have the overall district budget. And that is the budget that, it's district expense. So that is my budget, Lois's budget, the court reporters, transcriptionists, judges. Those budgets make up the district expense. And then you all pay a portion, percentage, based on case numbers from the prior year, previous year. And so we are up a little bit there, overall, and Lois is here, he can speak to that a little bit, but I'm gonna blame him for most of that, just for the simple fact that he does have three additional new staff that the state have given court services here in our district. So those expenses were, travel, conferences, supplies, things like that. So he can answer questions if you have questions for him on that.
Any questions? Not seeing any. Crystal clear. Thank you.
And then, of course, finally is the court trustee budget, and Ed Wheeler is no longer the court trustee. He has since retired, and so Stephanie Petrie, she is the court trustee, and she is actually on leave, so she wasn't able to be here today. So nothing has really changed. They are down, and of course, as you all might remember, that this is a self-sustaining budget and not requesting any county funds for that budget.
Is anything gonna change after, let's say COVID goes away, which it's not, but it has. Here, the last few years, you've had less cases, yet you're still trying them on virtual,
I don't think Zoom is ever going away. I think it lends itself very well, especially in civil cases.
Okay.
Because there's so many discovery conferences or things like that. And those attorneys generally are Kansas City, Wichita, Topeka. And to save the cost and time of travel, that lends itself very well. Domestic cases, probably not so much, but nobody is unavailable now. I mean, that's the big lesson. In less cases, I've been in the courtroom more this past year and a half than I have in some of the 20 years. And some people have some anxiety about coming to court, and access to justice is very important with our Supreme Court, and being able to sit at home and try your case is appealing to a lot of people. So we have a lot of trials, and we want to make that available to them. We don't want to ever shut the door on Zoom. Criminal cases, your pleas, sentencing, those are generally, they're coming back all in person, but Zoom's never going to go away.
I find it interesting because that was a big thing that Judge Powers wanted us to provide with the new jail when we built that. It was even back then, we didn't have it available in the old jail, and it was then he said you got to have a place where you can keep them people over there, and the judge can talk to them, and arraignments or whatever it is, and the first appearances, maybe stuff like that. And keep them in the jail, not have to take them, bring them across to here.
Invaluable. The amount of time that you spend, that you save the sheriff.
Yeah.
Getting those people out, and the danger you have walking across.
Speaking of which.
It's a good thing.
Sorry.
And it's still here.
We'll note that, Nick.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Other questions?
The number of cases level, getting caught up?
I think we are. I think we're making good headway. They made a mistake, and they sent us out and said our district was in like the top 3 or 4 in the state of backlog. And turns out they times it wrong. We were not that bad, but it was helpful because I used it to send out a deal to all the judges saying, No more continuing. Try to look at these numbers, try to fix it, and then when they send out the correction, maybe I shouldn't say anything. We'll just keep, the old prod on the cattle going up the chute, maybe we'll just keep punching it.
Take what you can get.
There you go.
Don't wanna be number 3, huh?
No, not there. No. Turkey Bobby, you need first, you last.
I did want to mention too, just one final thing, that Marion's percentage is down from, it was 15 and it's down to 12%, so, of the total caseload. So that's, your 12% makes up that.
Right,
district
first page there,
instance.
yeah, the percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that. I didn't know whether it was up or down.
Right. Yep.
For now.
Yes, for
We
now.
got a new sheriff.
That is true.
It's just a
You
few,
can see some
just a few
changes.
people. Not many new bodies, just lots of
Oh, new
repeat
staff.
offenders.
Oh, I see, I'm
Repeat
sorry.
offenders.
Gold card members.
Are court-appointed attorneys, is that an issue anymore?
It is an absolute crisis that nobody talks about. We have the public defender shut down in Gary County again. And so then we have attorneys that we have harvested. But last time he shut down that office, we were pulling attorneys out of Kansas City. And there's just nobody who wants to come back. The biggest firm in Junction City, Kansas, goes up to interview at Washburn Law School, and not one kid signs up. Now, that used to be a no-brainer, good firm, and you get out and get your feet wet, and no kid wants to come back here and work. Evidently, a small town doesn't appeal to them, they want to go make the big dollars in the big city, but I think, and I know this is on the Supreme Court and the Judicial Council's sheet, because they have now started another task force, and they have some things in mind. Court reporting is another issue. We're going to be without a court reporter in this district very shortly here. And so that's, we're trying to be proactive. Nikki has started, we're trying out a speech recognition. Transcripts can get done faster than the transcriptionists. And we're at the end of that trial, taking a look at that, need to make a decision on it. But court reporting and court appointed attorneys are a big issue.
Yeah, you just look around these rural counties and there ain't any attorneys anymore, period.
I look at Abilene, when I came back, I think there was 15 attorneys. I think there's one or two, maybe full-time, maybe full-time. All my attorneys come from Salina, Junction City, or out of that area.
I did not realize that.
Yeah. You think about the number of attorneys that used to be in this county
Yeah.
a millennium ago.
Mhm.
Now there's none.
Well, nobody is applying, for positions either, or they'll stick around for just a very short time and then they're off. Somebody can pay more.
It's easy to set up a county bar picture.
Just sit there and see a picture.
Turns into a portrait.
Yeah, portrait.
Yeah, it used to be a huge group
Yeah.
picture. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, when they had golf tournaments, now you just name yourself the winner.
Problem is, you'd have to fund the course.
No.
Well,
Yeah, that was a big deal down here.
Quit doing that, have we?
No, we switched it. And I don't think they're gonna do it this year, but we wanted to get it out of July.
I don't know why.
I'll tell you what, when you put that cement pond in down there, it's the best thing you ever had in the Falcon.
Harvest is over with.
But we've tentatively moved it to the spring, and may move it to the fall. Depends on what Chris wants to do with it. He's kind of.
You see what happens in the spring, it rains.
Yes, yes. That's
You
all.
almost can't win, though.
Yeah.
It rained. I'd argued with you on that about 2 weeks ago. It never rains. We've got some good rain lately.
Any other questions? Had some good points that I hadn't thought about, the struggles with court reporting and public defenders.
It really is.
Court
Sad.
reporting, a lot of courts are going away from it because they can't get somebody to do it, or
There's just nobody going to
people
school.
are retiring from it?
Yeah, they're that.
Yeah, I
and
got a
then-
friend back east, she's hanging it up at 55.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they can make so much more money in the private sector.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
that's-
especially the closed caption TV,
I think that's more.
a lot of them are being drawn to that.
Yeah, and then nobody's going to school and nobody's applying. And of course, I've had a lot of applicants, they just don't meet the requirements. They don't quite understand what a court reporter does. And they're, yeah, so they have to have that certificate.
We've got a secret weapon though. We've got
That's true.
one of our clerks in Dickinson County, her daughter just graduated.
Mhm.
And I was talking to her, I said, we ought to get into court reporting. Well, she did, and she did it early in her senior year. She'll graduate this December, and I told her, I said, come December, I said, you and I are gonna do business together. And she's excited about it, so.
Great.
Name your price, huh?
That's right.
Keep planning. Well, again, thank you for
Thank
coming
you
in.
so much.
and
I
appreciate it.
Appreciate the work on the numbers.
Thank you.
It's good. Appreciate it.
And Tina, I don't know if you had any extras, I can take them off your hands. All right.
Have a good day, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're running a little ahead of schedule. I thought we'd take a 10-minute recess. Or does some of the commission have another topic they want? All right, I declare a recess until 1:50. How's that? Be back at 1:50. Anybody in a different chair?
Okay, we're on.
Thank you, and we are back from our recess. Krista, did you have any department business first, or?
I do not.
Okay. Well, then we will go into executive session. All right. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, Item 1, personnel matters of non-elected personnel performance with the commission and Krista. This would be for department head review, 6-month review.
Second.
I didn't give time. Oh, you're the one that usually catches me on that. Executive session from 1:52 to 2:15.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We will be back at 2:15.
What you said,
I think
gentlemen?
everybody's here.
Well, there's
We got a mayor.
What you said, gentlemen?
Oh.
You used the term loosely.
He has been going along.
Leave it open?
Yeah, it's open meeting. Yeah.
We are out of executive session. No decisions made. We're going to move the sheriff up a little bit earlier instead of waiting until 2:30. Everybody's here, and we will move forward.
Okay, Tina, is Steve on? Tina?
We have a caller on. Is that you, Steve?
Yes, it's Stephen with TBS Electronics.
Okay.
Excellent.
So guys, what I'm here, representing the fire chiefs, myself, looking for a radio upgrade. What we'd like to do is, you can see there's a, I think it's in all of your packets. There's a letter from Linda Clinda as well as from Matt Both in the fire department in Gossel for the chiefs. So what we'd like to do is add 3 more tack chains to our system within the sheriff's office, because we do not have the ability to record or to have dispatch monitor these guys while they're out fighting a fire if there's multiple units on scene. So we've asked that you guys would look at this as a quote in here for TBS. And any of the questions about TBS, you'll have to ask them. But we wanted to kind of see how you guys thought about it. It would help us out tremendously. If we have a big grass fire, these guys can't talk to each other, we're gonna be in trouble. It's a huge liability issue. And I think it's pretty important.
It's one of the many solutions we came up in our meeting the other day.
Okay, but what's the main advantage, or what's the best result from this system?
The best result for this would be is the fact that we could actually, they could talk on scene, but we'd be able to record it.
Okay.
And we'd have a timeline on our system.
Okay.
Right now, they're not being recorded. So the IC, if he's on command, he has to carry 2 different radios, possibly 3 radios with him to try to juggle in between all these calls.
Oh.
So, you know, it's one thing if we had large fire departments,
Right.
then I mean, a guy could stand there the whole entire time handling multiple radios. But he might very well be one of the trucks, trying to be IC and still help to fight fire. So this will, dispatch can monitor every one of the channels, where she can't monitor every one of the channels now in dispatch. So they'd monitor those, tell them to switch back and forth if they needed to, but this would also prevent from, right now they're running, if I got this right, if I'm wrong, tell me. They're running on fire admin channels as secondary channels. So for him to hear fire admin or whoever's running IC, they have to switch back and forth from their TAC channel and then back over to fire admin. He can't monitor 2 at the same time unless he's got multiple radios with him. So that's my biggest concern. So.
This is a solution that we came up with dispatchers' input after the countywide emergency meeting to both help dispatch and fire service. And, yeah, that was a very good meeting.
Yeah, and the other part of it too is everything that they give us, we actually have to give back to them. So the recording part of it, the important part is like, so our ISO ratings. So every town has an ISO rating, every township has an ISO. This is all graded off of the report that they get back. Well, if it's not documented on a recorder, it's all just punched in by a dispatcher. Well, those aren't exact times. So if that changes and we're wrong, and then the state comes back and looks at the ISO rating, and if the ISO is reading, then the ISO rating goes up instead of down, like we want it to go down. So this is another part of it.
Okay. Lester and Matt, does this kind of go back to what we talked about several months ago? Getting information back on those runs, is this address?
This is along those lines. This will help specify or dispatch if they miss something,
right.
She can go back to the recorder.
Right.
Okay, and enter it in if something's missed.
Okay.
So that will help along with that, yes.
It's an improvement.
Yes, that definitely.
It's a step in the right direction.
Yes.
Step in the right direction.
Yes.
That's enough.
Is that all time monitored? Each recording? I mean, each?
Yeah.
It's
There's
all
a counter.
speech, yeah.
Yep.
It's
You
all
got
through
it.
the timestamp system.
Are your deputies able to listen to this too?
Yes. This is gonna take everybody, instead of my deputy being on the scene or trying to do something, he don't have to switch back and forth channel. He can go ahead and have the same channel as these guys have. I'm also giving these guys our law channel too as well. So if they see something, they can talk to us as well as we just talk to them. Right now, it's not that way. And the biggest concern, I think, from other people was that maybe the channel would get misused or something like that. Well, that's up to me. If the channel gets misused, it's on me. It's for me to go. And we've had the discussion as fire chiefs. I'm gonna go to Matt and say, hey, your guy messed up. Get his radio. And we're gonna have to talk about it. If we don't fix it, then we'll take a chance.
It's recorded.
Exactly. And then it's recorded as well. So in the process, what they have to do is, they have to put, and Steve can tell me if I'm wrong here, but they have to put 3 different bank radios inside of our system in here. And that's what part of the purchase is here, is buying 3 additional radios to go into the system. So that way it can be shot over to dispatch for the recording and the timestamping purposes. And that allows our dispatcher to hear it in real time as well. She don't have to flip back and forth on channels.
What they're wearing today is all right?
Do what?
The radios they have today will work?
Those radios will work, but I think you're gonna.
They all have to be reprogrammed.
It's programmed.
Yeah.
Okay, so, long story short here, there are several things. These radios are supposed to be tuned every year, according to TVS, I think. They've never been tuned. When Rob bought these, he did not buy the maintenance package. He just bought the maintenance package for dispatch. So, we're gonna try to kill several birds, long story short, several birds with one stone. McPherson County moved to the 800 system, and so also at that time, when these TAC channels are programmed in our radio, Gossel's gonna have McPherson programmed in. And I'm gonna try to send them half the bill too, so. Yeah, there's just several different things that.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get Chase County in mine.
We're getting Chase County.
We're putting McPherson in ours as well.
So.
We'll
That's what,
contemplate
that was my question, I actually wrote
Yep.
McPherson down.
Yep. And I've tentatively got Stephen scheduled for Thursday, because our district goes into McPherson County, and we found out on the structure fire the other day that, well, the emergency manager was supposed to give me heads up that the change was happening, and that didn't happen, and so.
Their emergency manager.
Yeah, well, that emergency manager gave information to our emergency manager did not pursue it. So, the other day on a Sunday morning on a structure fire, we found out we can't talk to McPherson Dispatch or Mount Ridge or Canton Fire.
How was you talking? Oh, he was talking on, that's because they had the old channel, now they've switched and you don't have their channel.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly, yep. So, that's also gonna be programmed in at the same time. This is all this, yep.
But McPherson County is, when they have to program into their radio for McPherson County, that is on McPherson County.
Right.
They pay for it to be in there, not us.
Yeah, that's why they're gonna get at least half the bill, so.
So you mentioned the fine tuning. So when they do the upgrade for this system, then you'll get the fine tuning as well?
Yeah, Stephen, do you want to speak to the details on that and some of the software updates?
So basically, these radios were purchased, what, 3 or 4 years ago now? Then,
Five.
I can't remember. It's been so many. It's been a while. But Motorola recommends to run these through what they call as an auto tune, and they recommend to do it once a year. Basically, your UHF and VHF radios used to do it as well, but over time they'll go off frequency, is what we call it. It wasn't as noticeable on the older system that you guys have, but with being on the trunking system, it is more noticeable. It can affect range or access to the system. I don't think you have to do it every year, but probably every other year is probably what I would tell you to do. Basically it puts it back on frequency, make sure that it's putting out the proper power. If it's not, it will tune it to make sure that it's running at the specified specifications for those radios as they were manufactured to be. Basically puts them to manufacturer specs. So recommend to do it at least once every other year. Some people don't do it at all. Some people do it every year. So it's really up to you guys. But if we're going to touch all the radios, it's probably a good thing to do it.
It'll be interesting to see if there is a difference,
Yes.
or how much difference there is.
Is that included in this bill, or is that a
The
separate?
tuning's separate, and that's gonna be more
More department
department
covered.
district-wise.
Yeah, so we have some skin in the game too.
So is this equipment being that's used, any of this have any warranty?
So all the equipment would be new except the 3 radios that are on there.
Right.
We can get you new radios. The time frame on the new radios will be drastically increased. We normally warranty these radios here for 90 days when you buy them from us. But with the price point of these, you can probably buy 4 or 5 of them for the price of one new radio. So that's kind of why we did it. Plus we have some here so we can get it done faster. Is kind of why we quoted the used ones. Everything else will be brand new except the radios.
Steve, this is the sheriff, and you can hear me.
Yep.
What is the usual issue we would have with the used radio? And if you just had to guess a little bit, what would be the normal cost of fixing one of these on usually something that's a common problem with them? Are we looking at a repurchase of a radio if they go down? Are we looking at $500 repairs? Or are we looking at something smaller than that, you know?
No, so these radios, we still have a ton of parts for. And for what you guys are using it for in dispatch and them being mobile radios, the only thing that we ever see going wrong with a mobile is if it's transmitting into a bad antenna or something like that, you'll lose power out, or you won't connect the system. Normally, when we get these used radios, we'll tune them, we'll check them, we'll run them through all the auto tune, everything like that. These radios have been out for a long time, and there's a lot of them that people are buying new and getting rid of these just because they want to get the newer stuff or get the newer stuff for the newer features like encryption. These radios that we're getting are from a law enforcement agency that are getting new ones because they're adding encryption to everything, where these ones, when they bought them, did not have the encryption feature set on them. But since we get them, we have a bunch of leftover stuff, entitlement or features, or what you call it. We put it all in there, so they'll have that ability just in case if you needed to use it for a backup sheriff radio or something like that. We'll have that ability.
So you're saying if I want to use it for a backup radio for the sheriff's office, I'd have ability of encryption on it as well?
Yeah. So if you basically what it would be is we'll program, or what I like to do is we program all your channels in there that you use in dispatch, and that case, say the sheriff radio for some reason in the back room at dispatch goes bad, you can go and take one of these TAC channels and just change it to that channel in the back, and you're up and running again on your sheriff channel. That's a good thing to have. You can't change the channels on these radios from dispatch itself because, I don't like it, especially if you're going to be recording them. But you do have that ability in case you need a quick fix button before we can get out there to fix the sheriff radio or something like that. So it gives you that ability as well. All your other radios you can do that with, but being TAC channels and stuff like that gives you better one to leave, because you don't want to change your fire radio over to law or something like that. So
yeah, that'd be a good feature actually.
Yeah. And then the radios that you guys are using now that you can change channels on, that are just recording whatever that radio's on, you can use those more of a backup than having to switch over to your fire admin channels that you're currently using. You guys can still use that for fire admin or backups, and have those for that purpose, and still have your TAC channels being recorded.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you guys wanted to name them something different, because I know the law enforcement already has a couple other TAC channels of their own that are labeled 3 and 4. If we wanted to name them Fire TAC or Fire Event or something like that. I don't know if you guys want to.
Yeah, and we have enough TAC for the sheriff's office for us to run what we need. It would be probably advantageous to make it more of a fire TAC channel. We could still monitor it, but that'd be perfect.
The counties around us, Harvey and McPherson, I believe, call them event channels.
Yeah.
And maybe that might be the way to go, Stephen.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That way, we can differentiate them from the sheriff TAC 3 and your guys. If you put a TAC 3 in, it kind of, we're on TAC 3, which one is it? Kind of give you a name different.
And you can make the first 2 channels that are in there event channels also when you reprogram, right?
We can rename them, yeah.
Okay.
And then I know on this quote, I don't know if you guys wanted to go through, I know the quote I gave you for tuning and all that was just for the fire radios. I don't know if you guys wanted to look into possibly doing that for SO and for EMS and all those guys as well, since they're all purchased at the same time.
Well, I think I can speak for the sheriff's office. We'll tackle that event for the sheriff's office on another day in another meeting.
Yep.
As far as EMS, I don't have any control of that. That'd be a Travis question. So I'm here mainly for the fire department at this point.
So Stephen, Ben Steckity here with Hillsborough Fire.
Yep.
Will these used radios, will they meet the P25 compliance for 2024 phase 2?
Yeah. So they're the XTL 2500s, these used ones that are going in dispatch that we quoted. They're the main ones that before the APXs came out.
Okay.
So they are the P25 capable, because you're on the P25 system or something like that. So yes. They are the P25 compliant radios.
Yeah.
After all this, what issues still exist? Radio-wise?
Coverage.
Coverage.
Okay.
And that's it.
Right.
We know what that's about.
No, that's gonna be the thing, you spend money,
Yeah.
and you still got a problem. Well, as long as we know what the problem is, that we're still gonna have.
Like I said, it's a step in the right direction. It doesn't solve all our problems, but it definitely is a step in the right direction.
But it darn sure eliminates one problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was, another issue needed to be addressed, so it's coming at the right time.
Yeah. Right.
I guess everybody has the same issue, it's just different directions.
Yeah. His is imperative.
Yeah.
That needs to happen. You know.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
I have Steven scheduled for Thursday, so that's how much I need Max channel.
Tentatively.
Tentatively, okay.
Oh, boy.
I heard.
I had one question from the billing. You know, the biggest part of it's labor, and usually when we're looking at trying to pay for labor, we like kind of, you know, I'd rather see labor at X number of dollars total to be determined, rather than just 6,000. I don't know what 6,000 is. Is that 6 hours? Is that 6 days? What is that?
Steve, you got an answer
It
to
all
that?
depends on the issues we run into, right? So, that's basically a not to exceed number is what we put in there, just for budgetary purposes. That's for me, for the 6,000 for that side. Basically what we would have to do is we'd have those 800 radios, we'd have to program them, tune them, get all the cabling set up, run cables for antennas, all that stuff. It all depends on the manpower I have, the days it would take, stuff like that. But worst case scenario, that was, and then I also have to reprogram consoles, run wires for recording, stuff like that. So that's 4 guys almost for a week span. It won't probably take that long, but I have had instances where we could run into issues. Like we did when we first put this in, they didn't have any holes drilled for any coax cables at the communications building. So we had to bore through all your cement walls to run cables. So I mean, it's there to cover our end if we run into issues like that. But that's basically a not to exceed number. So it only takes me 1 day or 2 days. That's what I'll charge for. But it's more of a not to exceed number from the stuff we've ran into the past in that building and stuff like that.
Other questions? Tina, where would you recommend source of funds?
I can tell you the last time that I was able to find any programming, it was paid out of the jail sales tax, and that money is gone now. There's $759 left in there. I don't know if there's money in the 911 budget, so we'd have to check into that.
What would be beneficial to use the 700 or whatever, clean up that account, clean up the account?
I don't care. I mean, that's fine if you want to. That's
I don't know,
great.
for administrative.
Just trying to get rid of my account. Well, it kind of doesn't matter. We could pay the whole bill out of something and then reimburse based on, I mean, you could use up the rest of that, that's fine, but.
Would be a possibility of ARP funds?
That's up to you all.
I'd rather tap that than have to pay it out of general fund.
Well, that's the direction. Well, we're gonna have to do it general until we get the final framework stuff done. Right?
You've done your framework. We just don't have our second payment of money.
But we would have funds to do it.
Yeah, or you could pay it out of risk management.
That would be the way to do it, risk management and reimburse risk management when that time comes. There you go.
Do I hear a motion from Commissioner Director or Commissioner Grant?
Yes.
I got a question.
Okay, we have a good question before we get to
The service contract, how much is that? You know, tuning radios up every 2 years?
That I have not explored.
Isn't that something we should do? Or have?
But we didn't need to look at that countywide though.
That
We had to do
Yeah.
difference on
All the radios.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you too, is that I have a list of basically the number of radios. If you guys want me to, I can get you a number for that, what it would take to tune it. I know we go down to dispatch once a year to go through all the radios, check antennas, just from the dispatch side of it, on the dispatch equipment. So, I know we used to go and check all the repeaters for everybody else, but that's changed since you guys went 800. But we can get you a quote what it would be to do that every 2 years or every year, whatever you guys want to do.
I mean, I bet you've got to take care of your equipment.
Every countywide every 5 years.
Yeah, I would say 5. How long we're on 5 now?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, every 5 is probably fine. And like I said, sometimes you'll never see it. And a lot of times, if you're having a big issue, you can send in one radio at a time, and it's cheaper than having a service contract.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. So that's the way we kind of work is, you guys, we'll sell you a service contract, but it's probably cheaper in the long run to send in radios as you have issues.
Okay.
So,
Right, but we still need
completely
to
honest.
Be a tune at least.
tune, yeah, and then 5 years from now.
That's probably more than sufficient.
Other questions? Commissioner Garing? Make a motion to go ahead and accept this proposal, not to exceed $13,000 risk management. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Garing, a second by Commissioner Dahlke. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
So I have a question. So that's just to be paid out of risk management. You're not gonna reimburse it with ARPA funds. You're just gonna pay it out of risk management. Is that correct?
I'd like to keep it noted to try to pay
Pay it back.
Okay.
when that time comes, we can address it.
Okay.
Well, thank you all.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Well, we want to express our appreciation for this cooperation. That's a major step forward. And come up with a reasonable solution, and it sounds like a very effective solution at a very reasonable cost.
Yeah, and that was something we worked on the other night in our meeting. And she's not here, Linda could not be here, she wanted to be here. She had some family stuff going on, I didn't have coverage for dispatch, got 2 in there. So she actually chose herself to stay back, even though she wanted to be here, to make sure that her end of her department was covered, which was kudos to her for doing that.
Extend our appreciation to her.
Sure will.
And I know a few of you took up her invite to come check out dispatch.
They've been in dispatch.
Dispatch
Good.
a couple times.
Good. I really appreciate that. That shows the willingness to make something happen, so.
They spent, I don't know, several hours the other day. It worked out really well.
And I'll give credit to Jeff.
Yes.
He's
Agreed.
brought a culture change to the emergency services and is facilitating communication among all of us, and that is worth a lot. It really is.
Excellent.
Appreciate that.
Moving forward.
Yes, we're moving forward.
The attitude in the room shows
All right. Well, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
appreciate it, guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I like
Tina?
that meeting the other night, except for
Big thank you. Thank you very much.
the web going down, but it's a good meeting.
It was. A lot of open communication and.
Sorry you guys didn't know we were listening.
That was my fault.
It's all right.
There's nothing said.
I walked right back in the room very humble.
Ben's got some keys to another spot.
Oh, does he? Yeah, that's probably a better spot. I didn't know if I was gonna have full room anarchy on me after they found out you guys were on.
They probably would have got more truthful, holding back.
Well, that's the thing, you got the
Says we're all friends.
Unvarnished.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
just how it is. Tiptoe around something, nothing will ever get done.
Jeff, I got a quick question for you if you.
Yeah, same. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll see you out there.
You need to sign this. And you're right, that is the hot seat. You were right the other day.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks, I appreciate it very much.
Josh.
How's it going?
Good, you?
Yes.
Come on in. Some lower chemical bids, huh?
Some more chemical bids. I 4 pallets of 240 amine. I went through in about 2 months there. So we're down to not having any dicambone out of that too. So the rest of it I'm doing pretty good on. So
They can get it in?
Yeah, the way they talk, they never said anything else wise. So.
You wanna split it up, or does it matter?
No, keep it all one, that way you don't have to, I remember we've had this
Yeah,
discussion before.
mhm. Van Geese is the same price on the 240 that we got from them last time, beginning of the year. So they're pretty quick about getting my chemical to me too. So
Very good.
I'll make a motion to go with Josh's recommendation of Van East.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Gehring, second by Commissioner Becker. Any other discussion or questions? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried.
that's all I have for now. Unless there's any other questions.
Here's my notes.
You still have other product, like Remedy and stuff like that?
Yeah, Remedy, when we first got it, I always go with 1 gallon jugs. A lot of people get the 1 gallon jugs, but they said, it's really hard to get by. We don't know when it's gonna get in. We got 2.5 gallons, so.
2.5 gallons.
So I had to go 2.5 gallons and stuff,
So
so.
with people coming in with milk jugs wanting you to fill.
Well, luckily, most of them are the people that
Use that much.
use quite a bit. I can get them on the 2.5s, but we have the ones that I just need a gallon. I got a few left of the gallons. I can sell just a gallon, so we do pretty.
What is it again?
A little over $50 a gallon.
2.5 gallons.
Yeah, but in retail store, it's
I don't use that
75.
much chemical at all. 2.5 gallons is nice.
That's for Woody Brush.
It's not like the stuff
Yeah,
has
that's true.
expiration
So
date.
these is what we go for. So yeah.
Somebody's little kill trees, stuff like that.
Yeah, it will, but coming to me, I can't.
Yeah.
Being noxious weed, I gotta sell for the weeds. So. Right.
Just gonna throw out a question, not a topic, but just a question. I had a Commissioner Crowfoot and I were approached. Do you have plans for the recycling trailers? Or the commission that used to be staged around?
We've got them sitting at the South Shop. I've used 1 or 2 there but other than that, if I got to top off a few of them, I've been using it when I really get swamped with HHW. I empty the cans and I just pitch them in there because that's about quick. I ain't got to wait for the city to pick up my trash in, so.
I guess I just mentioned to the commission, the city of Marion would be interested in purchasing trailers if the commission is interested.
Purchasing the recycle trip?
Yes.
The
They want,
roll-offs?
they want to quit thinking of recycling.
Oh, so they just wanna haul
Put out
it
a,
in,
put out container.
Container someplace.
but they'll haul it in, do you?
What they do, they'd have to buy the trailer,
Right.
or they have to buy a trailer from somebody else.
Right, and that's what their interest was in buying.
An idea of knowing, okay, this is the city of Marion, but if we're gonna open that, then we're gonna have to open it to
For
everybody too. Where we can, if we needed to, start dropping them off again, but then the cities, charge the cities for what I haul in.
We don't have the help to go retrieve the
No,
containers.
I don't.
brings up an interesting question. What are you gonna do with it? Because you got an extra truck sitting around, you've got a trailer, and you've got how many bins? 15?
Oh, there's at least 12 that,
Well,
for sure.
there. So, brings up an interesting question. How long are you gonna sit on waiting to do the other thing to, if it comes back, or
I
the reason why
called-
we got so many is we got little
I called
towns.
Junction City last Friday, left a message and have not heard anything, so I take for granted it's not happening.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. That's Harvey County's got away from it now.
So would this be an appropriate commission topic for next week?
I think so.
I mean, I was just bringing the topic up while Josh was here, just to kind of feel the commission out.
I don't mind selling the containers, but I personally wouldn't sell the trailer until every last container's gone.
Yeah, we gotta keep it
Well, that's what
to
I'm
the
saying.
end.
Put it on, do we sell the whole shebang? Trailer trucks?
I think some of that
trailer
was
containers?
Some of that was on a grant too. I think that fell back. I don't know if that was early bud or if that was a Rollin. So I thought there was a grant on some of that to kind of get it started too.
So we can't sell it.
We'd have to get them to release it, but I'd have to find out where I found that from and look at it again for sure.
Just recycles are inside the fence. They're not restricted from bringing it there daily.
I mean, the city
Like it's
only picks up
simple
2 or
as-
3 times a month now.
Mhm.
They don't do it every week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poke too many holes in this thing, and then it'll all fall apart. Just leave it as is.
Well, if you sell, like Josh said, if you sell one, you're gonna have to advertise on everything.
Yeah.
There's getting to be quite a deal with, we've got 2 in Marion County right now of these kind of trailers that we have and little bins being rented out from private individuals. There's one in Florence and there's one in Peabody that has regular dumpster bins for rent.
They're
So,
13-yard bins is what they are.
is the ones in Florence as big as the ones in Peabody? Didn't
I
look
don't
like
know
it.
if his is a little wider or, each company's a little
Yeah.
bit different.
But they're both delivering to here.
Yep.
So what you're saying is maybe private enterprise should handle that.
Well, I'm just saying, if we put it out for bids, do we open it up to everybody? That's my question. So, because I'd say that I'm even interested, because I was gonna do it, and then Peabody started, so, I just think it ought to be open to everybody. if we're gonna do it.
I still feel personally, you keep 2 bins inside the yard or whatever for Monday through Wednesday, you gotta keep that trailer. You can't let go of that trailer. Because you gotta haul, when it's recycled day, you gotta haul those up and dump them. So, I know it's short use, but it should stay good that way.
Yeah. And, there's once in a while, I still got a bunch of cut tires on the ground.
Yeah.
So
And then you can throw cut tires.
Throw cut tires in one bin, and I've hauled them down there here recent, but like I said, we're so short-handed, we're getting stocked up on those tires again, so.
But that's a good place for them. Cut tires, just throw them in there, they're out of sight, out of mind. It cleans the place up.
Yeah.
Well, if we can use them local, ourselves, then that's a different story. But to have them set and not use them, that's something else.
Yeah, and I'm sure we have some that are set in.
We got them stored at the South Shop, so.
What size are they? Are they 7 or 8 yards?
The price was finishing about 7 or 8, yeah. They're smaller, you take the tops off of them, but let's say a person don't go in and add a little bit of side to them too. But if we got into that, I'd have to get a tarp system for that too.
Most of them's got a top, don't
Yeah, I've taken a few off because we had a Wall Springs cleanup that we used them for.
guess I'll come back and ask, do you want to explore getting rid of the extra ones? Or do you want to just keep
I didn't know they was using them. I thought they just sat.
Well, are they all being used then?
No, they're not all being used.
We're using some.
So,
Yep.
but do you want to further explore the ones you're not using?
You do that too.
That wasn't the sound effect.
Moving on.
Yeah, I guess we're springing on by.
Springing on by. Well,
New food.
you know, keep enough for the county. Maybe put the rest up for sale. I don't know.
I think maybe it was, if recycling comes back in a couple of years, what are you gonna do?
Well, that's
I
exactly.
mean, it doesn't cost much to keep them now that we got them bought and paid
To
for.
buy new ones would cost
Oh,
a
yeah.
little leg.
Yeah, a lot more.
And we got them, room to store them.
Yeah, Road and Bridge, they're fine. They just want to use one of my trailers to start putting the small scrap metal in and stuff. And we've talked about it, but we've never really made it out to doing that.
Sounds like we got a possible use for just keeping them.
Yeah, we've been, so.
That's it. All right, then, we'll just keep the ones we got.
Moving on.
Moving on. Down to raising that
Spring it
spring
on.
effect.
Spring it on.
All right, thank you, Josh. I do appreciate that.
Yep.
All right, we're ready for Bryce. He's in the order.
Oh, yeah.
8 o'clock cookie.
Welcome. Save the best for last.
Yes.
4 minutes early. 4 minutes early.
So you're not the best.
Yeah, because there's nobody out after me.
Yeah, there's Brad.
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
Well, who does he call him? Who knows? Okay. I had a question. He said that he was still
Not gonna
busy,
make it.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't got a text back, so we may not.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So. Salary request for Don Burnett. He signed. Rehire. Followed up with area fuel bids when you.
Did Don work for us at one time?
Yes.
Since you've been here?
No.
Okay.
Before that.
Okay.
Based on fuel bids, recommend EPS for all 3 areas.
Oh, I can't put inside.
He's waiting till the last.
What's area?
All 3 areas.
I make a motion to that effect, and everybody agrees
EPS.
for F service.
I'll get to it. Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Dalkey to accept EPS bid.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Garing. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. I'm gonna back up to the salary change. This is for Donald Burnett, $2,662, rehired as equipment operator 2.
And if you want to read the fuel bids.
The fuel bid was up for EPS is $24,034.20. Low bid. And MFA oil was $25,572.52.
Even though yeah, they were low on all 3,
Yeah.
so.
Total.
Yep.
I don't know why.
You don't need to do.
No. There's a no. That's fine. I circled them.
I can't tell who didn't sign it.
Oh, I didn't, so.
Okay.
He opposed.
You opposed? Okay.
Can you
So
get
come-
started?
Come this way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Just had to go back this
It
way.
is really getting bad.
We're ahead of schedule. We're making.
Is that it? Yeah. So he was trying to put you back on schedule.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Obviously, just let you know, road update, not good. We had soft roads with these flooding we had. I'm actually somewhat optimistic that we don't have any more damage, more severe damage. We lost a lot of rock. We had a washed out road on 310th and Eagle, and that was after we put in that big half tube up there. But there was and it didn't wash out the tube, it washed out either side of it. But of course the sad part about it is our excavator is now broke. Hopefully by the end of the week as far as going in there and fix it. But I think recompacting it, putting rock back over the top would be good shape. The other thing was, got a picture, I appreciate the picture of the Goldenrod Bridge. I asked Loyal, and I said, as far as I was concerned, in the 3 years I've been here, that's the most debris, and he agrees.
I've never seen that much there.
That thing is packed all the way across. It's almost like somebody dropped a net.
Well, he told me it's also packed underneath.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's gotta be done now.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, typically we've set up on top and we went down and picked it up, but I really think it's gonna be a good full day, if not more, to clean that out. It's
gonna get in there.
Well, you just set up on top and you reach down below and you just keep pulling and pulling and pulling. And I think if we get it broke loose enough, that maybe it'll break loose and go to the other side. The other option is to build a temporary levee or whatever else out there to get to it. Well, I mean, you just put, you basically have to put big rock out there to do it. And then when you're done, you pull the big rock back out. But yeah, it's just amazing the amount. Even in 2019, July 4th, there was a lot bigger stuff, but not as much.
I don't know how that bridge has survived for 100 years.
I don't know either. It's remarkable with the amount of force.
It looks like the same type bridge as Florence, on 4th Street. From all I can see is a canopy at the top of them.
Yeah.
You know, it just looked like the railings look like the same.
Did it damage some of those the cement?
It looked like maybe one got broke but most of those have been broke before. Just due equipment hitting them and debris and everything else. But yeah, I'm like you, I can't believe that thing is still standing with the amount of force up against there. And I don't know if it had as much water as it did in 2019, but like I said, with that drift.
No, the flow of it was just as bad,
Was
so
it?
it would have been just as bad, yeah.
But, those were the two big damages so far, I mean, other than rock. So we're trying to get all the guys to give us a list of where we need to go back with rock. Unfortunately, that just pushes everything down the road like we were, trying to get started. We wanted to start with blade patching last week already, and we're already behind that. But anyway, so gonna make a list and keep track of it. Obviously, whether you signed or not, Marcy talked about the disaster declaration. Sounds like it's just gonna be countywide because we're probably not gonna have enough damage statewide to make it a state event, let alone a federal event. But we'll definitely keep track of it so that when something comes up.
3 years down the road.
Well, whatever the case may be, but it still gives us an idea of what these things are costing us. And, unfortunately, they were just, from what it sounded like, there was just downpours in certain locations, but just all over. Not like it was one big thing countywide.
It was if you watch the radar, it looked like a hurricane.
Yeah.
Because everything was, I'd never seen that. Everything was going in circles.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden one would blow up, another would blow up. It just kept rotating.
Yeah. So, anyway, like I said, we're battling back from it, so.
You mentioned something there, you said the track hose broke down?
Yeah.
Just sprinkle a little bit.
How many hours is on that?
Get down there and start seeing the pictures.
Couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but it's in reasonable shape. You're talking about getting rid or rotating it out, or?
No, I'm just somewhere down the road, because we bought it when we bought the property over here and
Yes.
started building the
I think
jail.
they said it was,
It's gotta be 12 years old.
I thought they said it's 2012 or something like that.
Could have been
It's
somewhere in there.
10 years.
It's 10
Yeah.
years old. I
But
thought it's more than that.
It's in reasonable shape. They had a problem with the top cylinder,
Oh,
I
okay.
guess, so had to take it to.
It survived the last flood.
Yeah, yeah. And we tried to go get it, boss. We really tried to go get it. That's when Jesse and I tried to wade in there.
No way.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so like everything else, hopefully people understand. We'll get to it as soon as we can, as far as rock and stuff. So, but I got back with the contractor and they still don't have a schedule for the Indigo Road overlay yet, hopefully by tomorrow, he told me. So, still let you know when that comes in. I did a little research on the 190th and Jade as far as the MUTC meeting, the speed reduction on the east side of town. I gotta do a little more research on that and follow up, and I'll get you pictures and proposals.
Thank you.
You might CC Matt Stiles
Yep.
on that.
Yep, no problem. Like I said, I gotta make sure it's all done by the MUTCD, so for legalities or whatever else. 140th going to Olney, from Sunflower to Olney. We got an email addressed to all of us. I don't know if did you guys touch on that or have a response or? No. The only thing that I could say is what we've done in the past is we've turned it into an insurance company. There was no report made of it, so the first thing they're gonna ask is who, what, where, when, why. But it takes us out, I mean, not saying we're not, involved with it, but K-Camp does all that, so if that's, or you don't wanna do that.
It's all you can do.
Well, like I said, we can sit here and argue all you want to, but if we go to them, that's what their responsibility is, but.
So consensus to turn it in?
If it comes, yeah.
If they gets paid, fine, but otherwise, you'll have a notification.
Yeah. I mean, cause I don't know the specifics other than what he sent it and obviously no report as well, so. All right, so you can go ahead and send that in then? Yes, no? Okay. And I heard back from that soil chem, he said the soil they took out there should be very conducive to this approach to using that. So I'm gonna follow up not only with him, but try to get a contractor to get in and get that done, so. Then
What?
on,
What are you talking about?
What location?
at the 140th Olney, we're gonna put that chemical in the, when we mix that base.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
sorry.
I got it.
Sorry.
You're just giving us a price, right?
Well, that's mainly to see if this material would work, and then we'll discuss the rest of that down the road.
First has to be whether or not we can.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I will follow up more with that. I guess unless you guys have another thing, I didn't know whether we're allowed to, but to go in executive session to talk about potential property acquisition, or do we have to have Brad here for that?
No, you don't have to have an attorney for that.
Okay. We can have probably 10 minutes.
Before we do that, chip seals,
Yes.
we getting ready to do those?
Got to do blade patching first.
Okay. Which roads are getting?
90th, 120th, 150th. Are we doing Kansas?
That's one pause there.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing a lot of blade patching on Kansas as well, because we put a lot of material there just north of Kansas on that. And I can get you a list exactly what we talked about.
What's chip seal cost per mile?
We've, in the past, I don't know, I'm sure that's gone up, but we've typically done it in the neighborhood of $11,000 to $12,000 a mile, just for materials. Labor was already figured in.
That was last year though, wasn't it?
Well, it's what's gone up, but yeah, I don't know what the oil will be. It might even be up in the $15,000 range. I don't think it is. One of the biggest things they hit us with is our oil tankers come in. They only give us an hour to unload them. Yeah. So he said, "Well, don't you have another tanker that you can offload to?" And I said, "Really?" He said, "A lot of people have gone to that because now that they only give us an hour, it's now $100 an hour after that. So we have to be very, very expeditious when it gets that to go unloading that." So, to say, for the price of that tanker, the extra $100 or whatever else isn't a lot, but it's still.
Adds up.
Yeah, but like I said, we've got to make sure that we're.
If for some reason you got here and you saw that you couldn't handle it.
Yep.
For the whole load.
Yep.
Can you send it back?
Yes, for the most part we can.
Okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know.
As long as the material hasn't been used or whatever else, they can typically send it to somebody else. We've done that. I'd say we have a breakdown or whatever else.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that would not be good to do stuff.
One other question is, we got questioned is, you have the bottom rock, the brown rock from second on 40th and Indigo, not an Indigo, 140th Nighthawk.
Mhm.
And we was asking where that's going. So I said,
But, oh, that's for the chip seal.
chip seal.
Yes, trying to remember if that, we put that down there for one of those, that's going down to the 90th. The problem was trying to stockpile the material somewhere close to those
Okay.
projects, because we don't have a place in and around Gossel, or, we've talked to several people and they've said no, so. But, anyway, I can sure get that to you. I know we talked about it, not the most conducive place, but.
You
Yeah.
Dean just asked about it. I
Yeah.
thought I'd ask because I didn't know where it was going.
Yep. Yep. So.
I didn't think we had Nighthawk planned again yet.
No.
Okay.
All right, anything else before we go to executive session?
One other thing I'd like the commission to consider along with Bryce, you know, we have these certain year plans for road rebuilds, certain year plans for equipment replacement. And I know when it comes to rock roads, we keep running into emergencies. But being as we've got more rock road than anything else, would it be expeditious on our part to have a 3, 4, 5 year plan for re-rocking of every rock road in the county?
Yes, I agree with you. In fact, I've had a couple guys ask that. The biggest problem that comes into play is, like you said, we get pulled off to do other things. We can set it up that way. A lot of that, and part of this pavement management system, we could actually do the same thing with some of our rock roads, so that we can keep track of them. The problem is some of those roads probably could get rock every year. Some of them every 2-3 years. That changes, but it would be nice, because we could, like the one blade man said, if I knew this road was gonna get rocked this year, you know, I could prepare for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice to come up with something. There's just a lot of intricate.
Yeah, I think, like you said, if our blade man knew this year, these 4 miles were getting rocked,
Yeah.
then he'd be able to get on top of it and be ready for it.
Yeah, you know, and I still, you know, that's the other thing too, we talked about trying to do all these rebuilds, which is pushing us later in the year. That's gonna be the biggest thing for us, is just getting those done. But yeah, it would be nice, because we,
But
you
the
know,
roads
there's
are-
times we just kind of throw a dart and said, okay, we're going here this time, and, you know, so.
How many total rock miles do we have?
About 800.
800.
600 dirt, about 180 and.
600 dirt.
Yeah. So, and those are in not good shape.
And you know,
especially
maybe
parts-
there are roads that if we rocked them once every 4 years or something, that's good enough, because there just isn't
Yeah.
the traffic on it.
Well, you've got the high priority roads that are just below
Sure.
the 200,
Yeah.
and you've got the heavy semi-traffic, and then you've got roads like mine, I'm the only one driving.
Yeah, so it's way
It's
down on the
bottom
priority.
of the list.
Well, it's also a commissioner's road.
I am way, way down.
Kinda like my road.
Gravel road.
No respect, no respect.
So I need to turn in a car wash bill once a week, right? Is that?
No,
Okay.
I think, like I said, it would benefit our section men.
Yeah.
Great.
But I'm gonna, especially the high volume
Right.
gravel roads, because
Yeah.
there are several very high volume gravel roads.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And that would be good, because several of them are slated for the rebuilds, and then you
Yeah.
can get that in the system, and then you can stay on top of it.
yeah. And it's, you know, that gets the involvement with the board member too, to make
Yep.
sure that we follow up with them. But yeah, we've thought about that numerous times.
And I don't know if you listened or not, but make sure you just determine a good spot to stop the road rebuilding going into Albany.
Oh, we'll start with the railroad tracks.
The unofficial city limits.
Well,
Oh, okay.
that wasn't even,
They want-
I guess, I just need your opinion.
Sure.
Bryce, of where to stop at.
I actually drove through that today, and everything from the railroad tracks on east looks good. I don't see a problem there. And going north and south, I think there was a couple little spots we could fix, but I think it's still in reasonable shape to leave.
From the railroad tracks east?
Sorry, west.
Okay, okay.
Well, how far east of the railroad track?
I didn't really get an idea, I just,
It kind of got brought up earlier today. I don't know where the dips start. I come in from the west all the time.
for the rebuild on the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it got brought up, the 30-mile-an-hour sign was kind of like the unofficial city limits.
Okay.
Something to take into
You make your
consideration.
determination.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
yourself.
make that determination.
Yeah. And I'm assuming if the railroad did their due diligence when they redid that, they should have done a, good cross-section rebuild, but I don't know, so, but, yeah. We'll try to save as much as we can, no problem.
So, I know I brought this up last week. It's probably getting commission. But the 150th on the microsurfacing, 50,000 mile roughly.
I believe it was
58.
Yeah, almost 60,000.
Almost 60, yeah. And chip seal is 12,000. Microsurfacing will complete the same goal of sealing the road.
Yes.
So, just food for thought. Drop it that much per mile by not chip sealing it and microsurfacing it.
Well, if it's, as far as that goes, again, the only thing that's really gonna be an issue there is, making a decision, and I need to follow up with the microsurfacing guys on their schedule for sure. This rain, obviously, I'm sure is hurting them as well. Would be to give them enough time to get material in if you wanna do it. As far as the chip seal, we can make that decision pretty easy. We can carry that material over year to year, not a problem. So.
I just driving up and down that road a lot. Shoulders aren't falling off. It's not as bad. It just needs filled in on the ruts. And
At the very least, chip seal?
well, I was just thinking the microsurfacing would be a good candidate just to fill them ruts in and even the road back up.
Now, let me just say that if you're filling in the ruts, you really need to go back over the top of it after filling in ruts. Because you're talking a pretty standard chip size, 3/8 to 5/8. There's nothing much smaller. So if you just fill in the ruts, you'll fill in the ruts and then you'll have a little bit of a break before you get to the pavement. If you go back over the top, it will reduce all of that.
Okay.
So to say that it would just be a one-shot approach, that's the thing is, unless you go all the way across. But if you're just filling in the ruts.
No, I meant
You're going all the way across?
I meant
Okay.
doing it like you're doing 190th.
Okay.
I just see that because in my mind it attacks it more like a box blade on a gravel road.
Pretty much.
So you're kind of just smoothing stuff out.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's as far as the chip seal does better because it's a more substantial. So.
Okay, anything else, or are we ready for executive session? All right, I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss preliminary discussions of property acquisition pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, item 6, preliminary discussion acquisition of real estate with the commission and Bryce for 10 minutes. Let's go 3:18 to 3:28.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Becker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. We'll be back at
Every once in a while, he's a Yosemite Sam on me.
Jesus.
And I don't want to do that with Bruce. That's why. So I just want to know.
Hopefully, what before I go to the library. Blowout. No, just water saturation. That'll do that.
This conference will now be recorded.
Whose voice is that anyway?
It's not Siri.
Tina on the good.
Sweet voice.
She wasn't upset that day.
Okay, we are out
I've
of,
ever seen her upset.
Yeah.
we are out of executive session. No decisions made. Anything else for Bryce? If not, thank you.
Thanks.
Good luck. Hopefully the sun shines.
Yes. Problem is the sunshine usually brews up more moisture and, yeah.
That's true. All right, county counselor is not going to be here today, so any commission comments? I guess we have public forum listed if anyone online would like to make a public comment. Not seeing any.
Motion to adjourn.
First of all, schedule, we meet Friday, no, we meet Thursday. Thursday at 10:30?
Correct.
This week?
Yes.
With Scott Lloyd. So it would be probably 10:30 till.
What I have down?
What?
10:30.
10:30 Thursday?
Yes.
With Scott Lloyd, so it'll be mid-afternoon. Right on a full day. And then regular commission on Monday.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Garing has a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Commissioner Dalkey, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. 5-0.